They didn't wear armor. They didn't retreat. They charged screaming into battle with one purpose: to die harder than anyone else could survive. These were the Ghazi warriors, the bone breakers of the frontier. 13th century Anatolia was a graveyard of empires, Byzantine armies to the west, Mongol hordes to the east. And in between lived men with nothing to lose. This wasn't a land of peace or prosperity. It was a brutal, unforgiving frontier where life was cheap and death was always near. Imagine cracked earth stretching to the horizon, dotted with lonely border fortresses. Nights were lit only by the ominous glow of distant fires, and the campfires of men who knew each sunrise could be their last. Around these fires, blades were sharpened, not just for the next battle, but for survival itself. The world was bigger, darker, and more hostile than anyone could have imagined, and these men lived on its very edge. The Ghazis weren't soldiers in any traditional sense. They weren't fighting for a king or a nation. They were wanderers, exiles, outcastsmen, pushed to the very fringes of civilization by war, famine, or circumstance. They were the dispossessed, the forgotten, the ones with no home to return to. And there, on that edge, where society had cast them out, they built something new. They forged a brotherhood, a bond sealed not by blood, but by shared hardship and a common defiant spirit. You could see it in their scarred faces and tattooed arms, in the silent oaths sworn under the moonlight. This wasn't just an army. It was a family of wolves, bound together by a promise to face the abyss as one. They fought with a wild, terrifying fury. The core of a Ghazi's strength wasn't his sword or his shield. It was his belief. They believed that to die in battle, fighting for their faith, was the highest and a direct path to paradise. This belief didn't just remove the fear of death, it made them actively seek it. So they charged harder, they hit first, and they screamed with a conviction that could shatter a man's courage. Their goal was to break the enemy's will before blades even touched. They moved with a predatory grace, their curved swords a blur of motion. In the heat of battle, you'd see the adrenaline in their eyes, a fanatic gleam that promised no mercy. They were the first strike, the force that crashed into shield walls and left only ruin behind. The Byzantines who faced them said they fought like wolves. The Mongols, who had conquered half the world, said they fought like demons. When the Mongol war machine swept west, it was like a force of nature. Cities and kingdoms that had stood for centuries fell in mere days. Armies were annihilated, and entire populations were put to the sword. But when the Mongols reached the Anatolian frontier, they met something they didn't expect. The Ghazis did not kneel. While others surrendered or fled, these small bands of warriors fought back with a ferocity that stunned the invaders. They were too few to meet the Mongol cavalry on an open field, so they became ghosts in the landscape they knew so well. They attacked supply lines under the cover of darkness, ambushed scouting parties in narrow canyons, and then vanished back into the mountains before the enemy could retaliate. It was a war of 1,000 cuts, a desperate struggle of a handful of men against a world-crushing empire. Their defiance became legend. In one famous account, a single Ghazi band, numbering no more than a few hundred men, held a strategic mountain pass for 6 grueling hours against the entire vanguard of a Mongol army. They had no hope of victory, no chance of survival. They were there to buy time and to die well. For 6 hours, the pass was a whirlwind of steel and screams. The Mongols, accustomed to quick victories, were thrown back time and time again. When the battle was finally over and the Mongol forces pushed through, they found the bodies of the Ghazis. Every single one of them had fallen facing the enemy. Their final stand was a testament to their unbreakable spirit, a silent, bloody monument to courage. They were never conquered. Their chaos, their fury, their unyielding will. It was from this crucible that the founders of a new empire would emerge. Out of these wanderers and outcasts came the warriors who would go on to build the Ottoman Empire, one of the most powerful and enduring in history. From the forgotten men on the edge of the world, Kim, conquerors. Their banners would one day fly over continents, but their story began here, in the dust and blood of the frontier. The desert wind may blow sand over their graves, and their individual names may be lost to time. Their voices may fade, but their courage will never fall silent. Stay curious.